conference, our host, representing the great state of California, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. Joining us now is the United States Secretary of the Interior, Dick Kempthorne. Secretary Kempthorne is also the former mayor of Boise, governor of Idaho, and represented his home state of Idaho in the U.S. Senate for 6 years. Welcome.
Today, the eyes of much of the world are fixed on Beijing, China, where the greatest athletes of the world are competing in the Olympic Games. The Olympics are an inspiring event because they show us what is possible. It is possible for the nations of the world to join as one in a great celebration of sport. It is possible for us to uphold the ideals that we hold dear of peace and brotherhood and the betterment of humankind. It is possible for an individual athlete to overcome seemingly impossible odds and become an Olympic champion, to win a gold medal. Imagine for a moment if the gold medal were not simply a prize to be placed around an athlete's neck. Imagine if a gold medal were a prize to be handed down to children and grandchildren. Imagine if a gold medal were a living creature. And because we win this prize, future generations get to enjoy it.
We are very honored today to have with us Secretary Michael Chertoff from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. He brings greetings on behalf of President George W. Bush. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Secretary Chertoff.
Working with the governors, other state and local and tribal leaders in the border regions is critical to making sure that we can meet challenges that are shared by the United States and Mexico. Now, we all recognize that managing the border is not just about security, although security is very important. It is also about fostering long-standing trade relationships between the United States and Mexico, a relationship that we have institutionalized as part of our Security and Prosperity Partnership, a framework for addressing a host of issues, from economic competitiveness to emergency management to the protection of intellectual property along the border. But managing the border is more than just moving people and goods across it. It also involves strengthening partnerships in the area of emergency preparedness and response so that we are ready to handle natural disasters or other emergencies that hit both countries. Our friendship and our partnership will succeed individual officials and individual administrations and will be part of the enduring institutional partnership of both of our countries.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is among the world's foremost environmental leaders. He currently serves as senior attorney at the National Resources Defense Council and is the author of 5 books, including the New York Times bestseller, Crimes Against Nature. His success in fighting for the environment has spanned the Americas, from his home state in New York to Latin America and Canada, where he assisted indigenous people in protecting their homelands. For his tireless and courageous work, Time magazine named him among the heroes for the planet. Please welcome Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
The thought that I wanted to start out with was just the premise that good environmental policy 100% of the time is identical to good economic policy. If we want to measure our economy, and this is how we ought to be measuring it, based upon how it produces jobs and the dignity of jobs over the generations, over the long term. If, on the other hand, we want to do what some of the polluters occasionally urge us to do, which is to treat the planet as if it were a business in liquidation, convert our natural resources to cash as quickly as possible, have a few years of pollution-based prosperity, we can generate an instantaneous cash flow and the illusion of a prosperous economy, but our children will pay for our joyride.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. It's great to be here and be back at Universal Studio. And what is so exciting about it is not just that we have this great conference here, but that I actually started my movie career right here at Universal Studios.
Our organization has helped support and expand the North American Development Bank that funds environmental infrastructure projects along the border. And we have effectively promoted economic development in the region, as well as enhanced border security. And we helped create Border 2012. This is a 10-year program sanctioned by our federal governments that uses our states and U.S. Native American tribes to improve the air and water quality, reduce hazardous waste and trash, and address environmental health issues such as farm workers' exposure to pesticides. Now, our work is complicated, it's never ending, and it requires constant coordination and collaboration. But this organization has shown time and time again that it is ready to rise to any challenge. Now, we all know that borders are important. They honor and they protect the sovereignty and the security of individual states and nations. But when it comes to the real ties that unite our people, no border or line on a map can divide us. Because there is no divide to the air that we all breathe or the clean water that we all depend on. There is no divide when it comes to the healthy environment and to the respect for the planet that we all share. And there is no divide between our common desire to make the border region an economic powerhouse that would improve the lives of all its residents. We are friends and partners, united by our shared geography, our common interests, and our history, and we can thrive only by working together. So I invited the governors of the US and the Mexican states to come to Washington, D.C. with me in February, where we had direct access to President Bush and Secretaries Chertoff, Gutierrez, Paulson, and Kemp Thornton. And we had a number of productive meetings with them to discuss national priorities for our border region. Priorities such as water management, improving infrastructure at the border for more efficient crossings, and cracking down on illegal drugs and weapons trafficking. A short time later, we did the same thing, and we met in Mexico City with our border governors and with President Calderon and his cabinet secretaries. And we were able to move our agenda forward, and here we are today, continuing with this very important mission. But you know something? For all the great work that has been done, and all the effort that we are putting in, some people still think of the border only in negative terms. Isn't that interesting? Every time we turn on the TV or we pick up a newspaper, we are hit with stories about illegal immigrants and the problems that they create. We see it all the time. But I also want people to know about the positive stories. I want them to know about all the great things that are happening. And how Mexico, for instance, is California's #1 trading partner with $20 billion a year in exports to Mexico. And our tourism is booming because Mexican visitors are coming to California and spending $1.6 billion just in 2006 alone. I want people to know those stories. But we see endless stories about the weapons and the drugs and human trafficking. But I want people to know about the tremendous economic development also taking place in the border region. They should know that our 10 U.S. and Mexican border states have so much economic muscle that if they were one nation, they would be the world's 3rd largest economy. That's what I want them to know. And we hear stories about the crime along the border and how our governments are sometimes in conflict. But I want the people to know about our strong ties and a good working relationship between our law enforcement authorities and the Mexican authorities. And at this conference, for example, we have been working on an agreement to crack down on illegal weapons smuggled from America to Mexican drug dealers, and to curtail the flow of guns once and for all. Because I know that we will continue to define the border not as a dividing line, but as a line that unites us as we work together to create a vibrant economy, a healthy environment, and policies that lift all our people. So muchas gracias, mis amigos. Thank you very much.